Continuing on with the Clone Wars and the Nightsister Witches arc, I hopped on over to the next episode on the list, Season 4, Episode 21, Brothers. As we know from a few episodes ago, Savage Opress went out on a quest to find his brother Darth Maul. We open up on Dooku and Grievous. Dooku gives a great little opening monologue. His voice really reminds me of Alan Rickman. Anyway, Dooku is worried about Savage Opress being on the loose. The Nightsisters have been eradicated, there's no one left to hold him back, and Dooku says something sinister is on the rise, which, coming from Dooku, when he says something sinister is on the rise, it must be pretty sinister. Savage is just filled with so much resentment, hate, and rage, which is a lot of fun to see on screen. He's so hateful not because he's just a flat-out monster, but because he was turned into a monster, an unwilling participant in this game, someone who became a monster because of betrayal, because of becoming a pawn in someone else's revenge plot, and I really like that. There's consequences to getting others involved in your dirty shit, and if I had to guess, getting Savage involved will bite everyone in the ass. We see Savage in a diner just choking and hitting diner patrons. He's looking for clues that will lead him to his brother. I really don't know what beating the shit out of everyone who's eating an egg omelet has to do with finding your brother. I guess he's just bad guy? I don't know. I really don't know. So it turns out Mother Talzin is still alive, and the last episode was not Ventress's last appearance. So everything that I predicted or expected was wrong. But there's one thing that's easy to predict and expect, and that's me being wrong. Whenever Savage gets close to a clue, his necklace begins to light up, and the dust on some cargo boxes are turning his necklace into a Christmas ornament. He tells the pilot who just dropped the cargo to take him to where it came from, which is a junk world called Lotho Minor, which is in the Outer Rim. I hope Savage wrecks everyone. I have a lot of sympathy for this guy. He was made into this revenge-seeking monster. He was a puppet. Obviously, we know he doesn't kill Dooku because of movies, but I just want Savage to rip the hell out of everything and turn the world upside down. We cut to Anakin and Ahsoka investigating the diner that Savage messed up. They sit down for a meal, Anakin senses something familiar, and as this is happening, Savage is taking off for Lotho Minor on board a freighter that he forced the captain to fly. We cut to Lotho Minor, and as a location in Star Wars, as a planet, I love the concept of Lotho Minor. It is a junk world, a ruined planet. It is one of the galaxy's trash heaps, a landfill. Mountains of trash cover the landscape, and as you would expect from junkyards or scrapyards, there are folks who travel to it to try and find parts of machinery to be sold or repurposed. As a concept, I love the idea of a planet like this, a ruined ecosystem. Now, obviously in this Star Wars universe, where it's so easy to effortlessly travel in space, you probably wouldn't go to the effort of dumping your trash on this far-off planet, right? You'd probably just jettison your trash into the nearest star. But yeah, I love the concept of Lotho Minor. It is certainly a metaphor. So Savage lands, walks through this toxic gas environment, the flames, the junk. A little snake-like creature begins to talk to him. He asks Savage if he needs some help finding something. For some reason, I kind of chuckled at this moment because I imagined that Savage was just like hallucinating and imagining this talking snake because of all the noxious fumes that he's huffing by walking around this planet. It just made me laugh. Anyway, Savage declines the snake's offer, but the snake continues slithering next to Savage and talking, telling him about how not everything on this planet is junk and how there are living creatures. Says he's heading in the right direction to find what he might be looking for. We then see a giant-ass droid called a fire breather, which are like big-ass mobile incinerators that scoop up garbage and light it on fire. The scene of the fire breathers doing their work as more garbage rains from the sky, being dropped down from junk ships, is pretty awesome. Just imagine being on a planet or in a place like this. Just endless pollution, no course of action to correct it. Just dump and burn without considering anything. Once again, I love the concept of a place like this in Star Wars, a forgotten world used for trash and probably the perfect place to hide out and disappear. Some junkers begin to surround Savage. He takes them out without hesitation, without issue. The more we explore this world, the more I like it. Junkers were apparently part organic and part machine. Hell on Earth, there are people who rummage through junkyards looking for parts or discarded electronics. On a planet full of garbage, the garbage becomes a way of life. The snake then tells Savage that he's heard a legend of a guy who looks like him, a horned man, as he says. The legend says that he drags things down beneath. What's funny about this is that if there was an old legend in your town of a horned man, and then you saw a horned man, wouldn't you assume that the dude with the horns was the dude with the horns from your old legend? I mean, it's just a silly observation, I suppose, but then never mind. See, I write these videos as I watch the episode, so sometimes I pause the episode and write my thoughts down, and I make observations, and then in the next second, my observations turn out to be wrong, or turn out to have logical explanations. And I could go back and rewrite this, but I kinda like giving you my thoughts in the moment. So, acid rain begins to fall from the sky. Savage and the snake seek shelter, and as they do, Savage's necklace begins to glow. It turns out the snake was tricking Savage this entire time, luring him into this tent thingy, only to have him fall down a trapdoor. The snake tells Savage that Savage will make a good offering to his master. I guess the master is gonna eat him, and then the snake is gonna get the leftovers, and I'm assuming his master is Darth Maul. We'll see. It always makes me laugh, like, on this giant planet, and this happens a lot in the show and Star Wars and things like that in general, the one spot that you end up landing on turns out it's just right in the vicinity of the exact same thing that you were looking for to begin with. Imagine like wanting to find, I don't know, the Empire State Building, right? And you didn't know anything about Earth, and you had no idea where the Empire State Building was. You had a vague image of it, and you just land on planet Earth. What are the odds that you're gonna be like in the vicinity of the Empire State Building? Probably not good. So Savage ends up falling down this trapdoor, this pit. A spidery creature begins to follow him in the shadows. The pit is creepy. It reminds me of, like, for whatever reason, the toy maker's house in Blade Runner, mixed with the slimy hallways and aliens in a way. A bunch of junk everywhere, parts to things scattered around that once had life. An eerie vibe, for sure. It turns out that the spidery creature is actually Darth Maul. As we know, Darth Maul was cut in half in The Phantom Menace, and now big spidery mechanical legs have been fused with his intact top half. When I first saw this, I didn't really care for it, the design. The idea, you know, to me, Maul is dead. Got cut in half, in the same way that Boba Fett is dead. But as goofy as the spidery legs are and the resurrection are, when Darth Maul begins to speak, begins to act, begins to show us how he is now, I was focused and completely engaged with what was happening. He is being tormented in his own head. He's gone crazy. He's a recluse living in the filth, rambling on and on. He's a broken man. He's snapped. He tells Savage that he must have revenge against the Jedi. I found this entire sequence to be really well done, especially the voice acting. You know, as much as I don't like the idea of characters constantly being resurrected, this scene was pretty damn awesome. Way better than I was expecting going into it. In fact, I didn't know what to expect. I honestly thought that Maul would just come out of the shadows with robot legs and just immediately embrace his brother and just be hiding out, hanging out, wanting no part in anything. And of course that would have been pretty lame. This was a pretty satisfying way to reintroduce Darth Maul. I kind of hope we find out how he ended up here, why he's here to begin with, what he's been doing on this junk planet, but then again, I'm fine with the mystery. Oh, and Savage kills the snake, just chokes him to death, placing blame on this snake for his brother's condition. And the episode ends with Yoda and Obi-Wan discussing a disturbance in the Force, saying that Darth Maul is alive. So I liked this episode quite a bit. The location of the junk planet was great. The introduction of Maul, it was all unexpected and well done. I have to admit, I enjoyed seeing Maul more than I thought I would, because it was something different. Maul is broken, he's kind of gone mad, he's hell-bent on revenge, and at this time, I have no clue where the hell this arc is going. No clue. Is Maul gonna stay on Lotho Minor and send Savage to kill Obi-Wan? Or are they both gonna go out and try to kill Obi-Wan? Or is Obi-Wan gonna go on the hunt for them? I have no idea, but I am pretty damn excited to see where it all goes. And honestly, if Darth Maul wasn't the way he was, and by that I mean very, very different, broken, out of his fucking mind, I probably would not have liked this episode nearly as much as I do. Like I said, I kind of expected Darth Maul to just be living underground on Lotho Minor, scavenging, being okay, but hiding out. This was way better. But I still see him as dead, and I can't help it. That does not interfere with my enjoyment of this show though. HelloGreedo, out.